Welcome you all to this first lecture related to the week 8 for the course title History of Arabic Literature. Here the topic or the topics of deliberations would be related to the diaspora, the concept of diaspora and how it is represented in terms of themes and characteristics of language, narrative, etc. So, we'll be talking about the history of migration, the very concept of migration, because diaspora is something intrinsically related to the phenomenon of migration, that is getting migrated, transported, shifted from one region to another, one geographic region to another. It's actually a process of leaving a place, a geographical space, to another geographical space. And when a person leaves his native place, he finds himself in a milieu of estrangement. So he finds himself among the strangers. So the phenomenon of estrangement is there. So al-hijra is migration, while al-ightirab is estrangement. So it's a history in relation to Arabic language and literature. And what are the manifestations of this uh, episode, that is migration and estrangement in the domain of literature? So when we talk about the themes of estrangement or the episode of migration, the migration thing in relation to Arabic language and literature. So it's not confined to, it doesn't include the whole gamut of Arab history, because the Arab history, which has become correlated to Islam as a religion, Muslim communities all over the world, there have been migrations from one region to another, one geography to another geography. So there have been all these migrations. The migration phenomenon is over there. So it's not about migration in the entire history. Rather, it is related to migration in some specific parameters related to language and literature. And again, migration in the entire, on all the periods of Arabic language and literature covers wide ranges of issues related to geography and of course time span. So here we'll be focusing on الرابطة القلمية, العصبة الأندلسية, and diaspora in Europe. So although Arab diaspora encompasses wider geographic regions in an extended span of time, starting from the early days of Islam, then the successive periods, the the transitory phase, the dismemberment of the Ottoman Empire, which has played a very significant role in this phenomenon, establishment of new states, the present day political boundaries that is equated with establishment of the states as we find in the countries, modern Arab countries. because even during the times of Ottomans, it was not like this is a country known as Iraq and this is another country known as Kuwait, another country known as Syria or Jordan or Saudi or so. Rather, it was the Arabian Peninsula. And of course, there was the concept of Iyala or Vilayat. So it was something like the governorate, the concept of governorate, not states. So in the aftermath of the modern states and the Sykes-Picot Pact, under the after dismemberment of the Ottoman Empire, rather the very plan to dismember the Ottoman Empire and have shares and political players, the international players pledge or meetings, secret meetings, of course, to have their shares after the dismemberment of the Ottoman Empire. Because it was only of late that these documents, which were highly secret, have come to the public domain. So, and they have been now they stand as the recorded segments of history, the First and Second World Wars, and how things worked on the international political arena. So, and after that we have various facets of phases of estrangement migration, like in the backdrop of the Gulf Wars, several Gulf Wars, the war in Iraq, the war in Syria, the wars in Libya, the strifes, communal strifes, or something like civil war, although it has not been designated as civil war. In Lebanon, well, back two decades or so. So all they have resulted into the exodus of migration of a large segment of peoples to different parts of the world. And of course, here we also take we should also take account of the influx of peoples, migration of peoples in the backdrop of the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, and of course recently what we have in Afghanistan before the Americans and the Western allies left, and the migration of Afghan nationals to different destinations, European and as well as Asian and American, alongside migration of Eastern peoples. Of course, here we are concerned with the Arab peoples to Australia. So we'll be also talking about the diaspora, the Arab diaspora in Australia. So the Arab diaspora, represented by Rabta al-Qalamiyya, the Pen League, Al-Usba al-Andalusiyya, the Andalusian group, or call it a Spanish group, Arab Muslim Spanish group, Al-Andalus, because here the word is not Al-Hispania, rather it is Al-Andalusiyya, which was based in South America. Rabta al-Qalamiyya was based in North America. And أدب الاقتراب في أوروبا, that is the estrangement literature, the literature of migration, migrant peoples, of course Arab migrants people in different countries of Europe, primarily France and Spain, and later on this has spread to Eastern Europe, Central as well as Eastern Europe, Scandinavian countries. So that will also be taken into account alongside the migration phenomenon, Arab migration phenomenon in Australia. Well, these are some of the things which actually constitute the prelude to talk about the diaspora literature. The thing is that way back in 1898, there have been Arab settlements in Americas. So in Philadelphia in 1898, Naum Meckerzel published this journal, that is Al Huda. This is an issue of 1898. So Naum Meckerzel. This actually accounts or records this historical phenomenon, how the Arab communities who migrated to far-flung areas, geographic entities such as America, North America and South America, how they were keen to preserve their identity, their cultural identity, chiefly their language identity. So they preserved their language, and in order to preserve their language, as part of preserving their identity, they published several organs. They founded several organs, journals, sometimes newspapers. They had their meetings, weekly, monthly meetings. They had their organizations in order to address their language issues alongside other issues. So one of the earliest examples of the existence of Arabic concern among the Arabian peoples who had migrated to Americas. In 1897, in Sao Paulo, Shukri al-Khoury had established Al-Asma'i. Al-Asma'i. It was in South America, in Sao Paulo. So here again, Al-Asma'i, the choice of word, the title, that is Al-Asma'i. Al-Asma'i was a noted linguist and grammarian and etymologist, who had played a very significant role in collecting the pre-Islamic legacy. He was among the foremost ruwat al-shi'r wal-adab, the persons who have played a significant role in collecting the fragments of pre-Islamic poetry, chiefly pre-Islamic poetry, because poetry was not codified. We don't have the compendiums of poetry as to have been compiled before Islam, like whether it is mu'allaqat or other segments of other categories of poetry. So the choice of a word, the name, that is Al-Asma'i, again points to the amount of concern and sense of re-establishing one's relation to the past legacy, to the origins, so that the generation is not uprooted of the roots, uprooted of the origins. So Shukri al-Khoury was a noted writer who, alongside establishing Al-Asma'i and writing editorials and articles on it, is also noted for having this book, that is قصة التحفة العامية في قصة فنيانوس. It's a contribution in the local dialect, in the Lebanese dialect, depicting the social matters, social issues as depicted or as epitomized by this famous story, that is the story of Fenianos. And later on, he was appointed the ambassador of Lebanon in Sao Paulo back in 1927 in appreciation of his contributions towards preserving Arabic language and literature, and his role uh, that he played, the role he played towards serving his countrymen. In Argentina, way back in 1908, Al Hayat Al Jadida by Gerges Assaf. Gerges Assaf, it was founded way back in 1908 from Argentina. From Chile in 1928, we have At-Tafahum. At-Tafahum. At-Tafahum was published. So this was again significant. This is again a very significant testimony that puts on records the Arabs' concern, the migrants' concern, migrant Arabs' concern regarding their identity. It's chiefly the language identity. If we talk about the diaspora, the Arab diaspora in Americas, so in Americas they are significantly they have their presence with their identity, and this shows how the amount of their presence. So the areas noted with the black, it's around 7 to 12 millions. 7 to 12 millions. And 20 millions for the partial ancestry. So full ancestry, Arabs having the full ancestry, they constitute that number. And depicted in that color in South America. It's 4 or 5 million who are primarily the Lebanese. In America proper, that is USA, it is around 3.7 million, primarily Lebanese and Egyptians. Lebanese and Egyptians. Then 3.7, these areas will be having Lebanese and Egyptians. Again, 1.6 million Syrian and Egyptians in Venezuela. 800,000 the Palestinians chiefly. Alongside this and other primarily Palestinians. So this actually showcases the significant presence of the Arab migrants in Americas that forming the diaspora community, Arab diaspora community. Here, this is another map showing the percentage of Arab ancestry. In Europe, France tops the list. The top 3 countries are France, Turkey, and Spain, because Turkey is part of Europe, of course. It is nested in a place divides it into European part as well as the Asian part. Even Istanbul, the city of Istanbul, is locates itself in two parts. One part is in Europe, while the another part is in Asia. And so these are three top countries: France, Turkey, and Spain. Significantly, we may keep in our mind that the Arab Muslim presence in Spain, chiefly in Spain, dates back to the Middle Ages, because their presence, rather their role over the peninsula, the Iberian Peninsula, had extended to it represents a large amount of time, that is around 750 years. If we look at the diverse groups of Arabs, so they are around 300,000 and 70,000 approximately in different parts of Australia, in different states of Australia, Western Australia and Southern state Australia, NSW, and the old part of Australia, NT part of Australia, etc. So this is again a significant indicator of the Arab diaspora in Australia. The Arab Americans, they are the Americans, of course, who trace ancestry to any of the various waves of immigrants from the Arabic-speaking countries. These waves of immigrants started from the days of, say, before even the Pen League, Rabt al-Qalamiyya, or Al-Usba al-Andalusiyya. If we look at the phenomenon in literary history perspectives, then of course there are some data which may be taken into account. That number of the Arab Americans in the United States, according to the US Census of 2010, the largest subgroup is by far the Lebanese Americans, followed by the Egyptians, Syrians, the Iraqis, the Moroccans, Palestinians, Jordanians, and of course all of them are Americans. So Lebanese Americans and Egyptian Americans and Syrian Americans and Moroccan Americans and Palestinian Americans, Jordanian Americans. Approximately 1/4 of all the Arab Americans claimed to ancestries. A number of these ancestries are considered undercount given the nature of Ottoman immigration to the US during the 19th and early 20th centuries. Because the early wave of the immigration of the immigrants to America as well as Europe happened during the times of the Ottomans. That is, of course, related to the World War scenario and the consequences, the results, aftermath in the aftermath of the dismemberment of the Ottoman Empire, and the displacements, the amount of displacement that followed in the backdrop of successive events, political events. Now, Mahajar, it's coming to that segment of diaspora which is related to language and literature. Language and literature. We have the Hijra. Mahajar, sometimes diaspora is equated with Mahajar. So in Arabic it is Mahajar, and of course in English it is diaspora. So Hijra or migration, the exodus or settlements, Zahir, exactly whether it was on their own will, means there were no coercions, where as we find that in different courses of history, human societies or sections of human societies do migrate from one place to another place, seeking green pastures, as it is usually the word that is usually used. Green pastures in terms of economy, in terms of political liberty, in terms of the rights, human rights, which are to be enjoyed by individuals, by citizens. So this hijrah is primarily related to these factors or backgrounds. Humans desire to find safer, greener pastures, because humans actually strive and try to find ways for for avenues of better life, better opportunities, so that a standard amount of a standard livelihood, liberty, respect, rights, and of course obligations are guaranteed to the citizens or the persons. The epicenter in the backdrop of Arabic language and literature was Liva, that is Lebanon, Syria, or Lebanon. So it was primarily a case of Middle East in regard to Arabic language and literature. The historians have, in their analysis, have focused on the Ottoman atrocities, like during the Ottoman times, the times of the Ottoman rules. There have been atrocities. It is projected that there have been atrocities on, say, religious minorities or like that, like the Christians, the Druze. Although it's an established fact that in relation to Lebanon, the population of the Christians, the people professing Christianity, they are not in minority, so they cannot be seen as a minority. But in the wider perspectives of the Ottomans, the Turks, governing on that vast region, consisting of significant sections of geographical spaces of Asia, Africa, and Europe. So in this sequence, they were minorities. So some historians have highlighted this aspect, that because of the Ottomans' atrocities, these peoples were forced to migrate. But historically, this is not viable. This is not proved. The scenario is much, the scene is much extended. It is vaster. It is wider than we presume, because it is related to the history which was written by historians of specific ideologies, political inclinations in the back of the First and Second World Wars, the vision of the colonial masters, colonial players, and dismemberment of the Ottoman Empire, and the earlier plan to divide Ottoman Empire among the colonial players who were victors, who gained victory over Turkey and Germany and Japan at that time. So the territories held earlier by the Ottomans, some of them were distributed, they became part of the modern political boundaries that were drawn by the Europeans. So this is only one aspect. Issues like how to divide the Ottoman territories, and then in the course of events, the Palestinian issue, the issues in Lebanon, the issues in Iraq, Of course, the issues in Iraq were related to the issues of the British colonizers in the Indian subcontinent. So all these issues, alongside the political situation related to imperialism, French imperialism in Algeria and Morocco, and of course the Italian influences, interests in Libya. So these things have played a very significant role in the phenomenon of the migration that is connected with the concept of diaspora in the domain of language and literature. So the primary target was that is destination was North America, and then Arabs in South America, Arabs in Europe, and Arabs in Australia. So this actually showcases brings to spotlight the phenomenon of diaspora in socio-political and historical perspectives, which would be which are our subject of study in the domain of language and literature. How this diaspora is represented in language and literature. So first we have to see the political and historical background. So in this perspective, these things are of much significance and must be taken into account. With this, we conclude this first lecture. Thank you.